Folks, welcome back to this video. What we are doing right now is we want to see the significance of using force account approach in sustaining our projects or in developing projects. Like the way you see right here, the success of African development lies into the hands of Africans themselves. Africans will have to decide whether to develop their nations or not. And what you will see, the only way to develop our nations is the best approach of using force account. Number one, it is easy, it is affordable in terms of cost and value for money. We can develop any type of infrastructure that we see it is important to the nation, and nothing can stop us from developing. We can change our nation to become like Singapore in 2 years' time if we want to develop, It requires people who are dedicated for their nation. It requires people who develop interest in the public sector to see whether the public sector can make a significant contribution to the economy. So what we will see is the use of force account. That is the best approach that will remove most of Africans from poverty and most of the poor nations. You will look at the poor nation. A poor nation is highly correlated with poor infrastructure. And with us, we are looking at infrastructure as cornerstone towards growth and development of the nation. And therefore, force account approach is the best approach that will cut down costs of public infrastructure and bring about the value for money for most projects, for which, if you're using other approaches, number one, the cost becomes very high. And that's why you see, no matter what is happening, the future lies into our hands. When we say the future lies into our hands, it is ourselves to decide, are we here to set up, to develop our nations, or we are not interested. So when you use force account approach, you will find the value for money and the burden in terms of the organization becomes lower. So many people do not understand the use of force account. Force account approach itself is the method that will manage your budget in your organization. So you can easily manage your budget when you're using force account approach. When we talk about 40% of your revenue should be allocated for infrastructure development. And this is the way you can do. You can make sure that every shilling you get into your organization, then make sure 40% goes into development expenditure. And that is the way you have to go. And most managers should look at it. And of course, the good thing is the government has set aside policies to make sure 40% is being applied into developing infrastructure and other for development purposes. And that's why you see, when you use a force account, you can easily manage projects. When you're using the approach, if you don't have money, you don't need to develop the infrastructure if you don't have money. You will only develop if you have money. You can start developing step by step. Now you have 10 shillings. You take 40% you allocate, and accordingly to the ability to construct. But remember, you are using force account to manage a project, just like the way you are constructing your house at home. If you don't have money, you stop. If you have money, you can go ahead with the project. It is unlike when you are outsourcing your project to different people who will run the project without using force account. That will cause so many issues, and the issue of interest rate charges and the other gimmick charges will be coming up. So we suggest, if we are to develop Africa, then you make sure you develop Africa by using force account approach. It started a long time ago. This is not new approach. You can use force account. We as Tanzanians, we have been using for quite long time ago, when we were trying to mobilize the community to develop some key infrastructure in the country. And soon after independence, we saw how our leaders used to mobilize people for public infrastructure with or without the use of money. So you can use money, or sometimes if you don't have money, you need to know on how to interact with communities to come and help you. Also, you can link with other government agency, those government agency with key machines. Maybe if you don't have vehicle, then you should understand on how you can go and talk to other government agencies that has vehicles. You link all these government departments, you work together, you formulate public infrastructure. Very easy, because all of you are the government, so you can work one another, you collaborate in every angle to ensure you sustain project into a very strategic approach with a feasible cost. Now, the best thing that you should do when you are considering about force account, you need to have a rationale. You need to have rationale. Why do you start? Why do you start this project? And why do you use force account approach? So you need to justify the method. You need to justify the method. Why do you want to use the force account now? What necessitates you to use force account right now? So you will see there are different reasons that will be coming up. But as it has been stated in the framework, as demonstrated by PPRA, you will see it is there inside. There are a number of reasons. One of them, you can look at your ability. You might be having ability to do the work. You think, or maybe you want, you are looking at the risky, that if we don't use force account, these will be the risks that will be borne. So you opt for force account. Or maybe you are looking at a point of saying we are in emergency. We want to address a particular issues that if we use normal procurement methods, that will hinder in terms of time and so on. Or maybe the work is located very remote places, so you find you can use your force account. But anyway, you can read by yourself, looking at PPRA framework and guidelines in terms of the reason and justifications. But here, once you're satisfied with the reason, you look at your organization. This activity is very critical. It's very important that we should do. You now develop the rationale. The rationale is for you to understand the problem, context, to initiate the project surrounding the infrastructure project. So it might be, you remember, it might be maintenance of work. It might be about repair of your of some of the buildings. It might be about constructing new facility. So you may construct a new facility if you want to, and this can be school, it can be a hall, it can be hospital, it can be anything. But the reason why you want to use force account, that should be the rationale for you to start following it. Now, when we examine the rationale to justify the method that we will use force account based on these issues, and make sure the management also is aware about why should we use force account, and you must present to the management, you must get good reasons, and you must be satisfied with those reasons, and they will ask you some questions, and again after that you must present to the tender board for the same, that we are using force account because of the nature of the work that you think it is in immediate need. So based on whether you want to construct new facility or you want to do the maintenance and the repair, the chief executive, the project manager, the one who is managing the project, must be aware with the whole process at the beginning. And you should be focusing at your 40%. You should now go ahead in terms of planning. Now you start planning. When you are carrying out all this, planning will start with you to start getting the technical personnel who will organize the work and make sure that they can supervise the work. And also, you must be having registered engineers, qualified, competitive enough to carry out the building and supervise the building. But again, you must be having the implementing team. But if you have good structure that is being set for you in terms of implementing team, that will be the desirable for you to start carrying on further planning stages. Now, this team, they should help you to do the following. Number one, if you have good technical people, you must develop architectural building. You must architectural building and design. You must develop what we call it. So number one, I said you must be having what? Architectural design. Number two, structural design. Number three, services design. That is electricity and water. And again, before executing the work, you must test your soil. So soil test, conduct soil test, and make sure you have good report for the soil test, and also develop analysis in terms of cost of material and also cost of labor. So once all these are known, you organize these documentations. The implementing team will assist you to organize these. And the cost of material and the cost of labor, this is what we call it. It comprises the BOQ, the bill of quantity. It comprises the bill of quantity. So if you have the bill of quantity and you have all those documentation in place, you will realize that now you require to carry further a report in terms of write-ups. So you go to the write-ups. Now it is where now you need to prepare a very good write-ups that will justify the project itself, starting from the analysis of the project write-ups. Now with these write-ups, it must comprise the technical issues. One, you must, of course, as I said, these documents that I have already mentioned will be the appendices, Now, these documents, they need to be attached, they need to be supported with the write-ups. The write-ups that will justify will prepare the project documents, the project plan documents, demonstrating all details regarding the operation of the project, from the analysis, the objectives, the goals, and the activities, and also you will check for the work plan in terms of management. You'll need to develop analysis about implementation plans, your Gantt chart, and so on. All these needs to be attached in your documents, and other things that we find are very important, including risk analysis. You see, all these things need to be attached in the documents. But what I will say, we will get some time to go deeper and discuss about the details regarding the so-called project plan documents to support the force account project. This is very important. We'll discuss in the other time. But right now, what I will say is, if you have a project plan documents with those appendices, they support the project, that now you can run the project. You will need now to present the whole set to the management and also present the same to the tender board for to get permission to execute the project. Once you have been given permission, you now execute as per plan. As per plan, as indicated in project write-ups, that being supported for analysis, and that is very important. That's very important. So, force account is not a procurement method, but this is just the way to execute the project, how the project should be executed. So, we are looking at the force account. And let me tell you why most Africans are poor. We are poor because we do not develop infrastructure in a very feasible way. With the force account, you can develop in a feasible way. The only way, as I said, the only way to develop our nations is to look at the feasible way to execute the work that will not frustrate. And the force account is one of the approach. So we support government agency, we support individuals, we encourage individuals to approach, to use a force account to develop infrastructure. And that's why today we are here for saying we needed to share this experience. And what you see right now here, the work that is going on, we are using force account. We are using internal resources. We are using our own internal resources to develop infrastructure like this one. Folks, we can do more. I tell you, if organizations, they can use force account, we only require 2 years to develop our nation to become Singapore. And we can do that. Within 2 years, we can develop our nation to become Singapore. And we can be self-sustained by ourselves. We can be sustainable by ourselves without having dependency from other nations, but we can do it by ourselves. We have to believe that we have people, we have local people with capability of doing the work. Like right here, we have engineers, we have steel fixers. These are steel fixers. They are now fixing steel. They are working so hard. If you can see them here, they are working so hard, and these are local people. So we are proud. But the foundation of force account lies again into public interest. If you don't have public interest, you better don't use force account approach. But if you have public interest, my dear friend, my dear brother, my friends, I tell you, use force account approach to make sure you maximize your development and attain at the best feasible way. Nobody can outbeat your infrastructure development. as I say, Africa will be developed by Africans themselves. We have desire. You must have desire to develop Africa. You must have public interest to develop Africa. And for you to have public interest is for you again to consider the use of force account approach in developing projects. So for today, we stop right here. This is just an overview, and I want you to get some times. You need to go to the field and examine what is happening. I will show you other buildings that are very successful. When we decided as IAA, we decided to use force account. The success of ourselves, the success of management, commitment of our staff, it has produced fantastic buildings that we think without the use of force account we could have not done it before. But now we are so proud because we did it, and the work it has happened. We are now transforming ourselves to the next level, and the commitment of management, commitment of staff, commitment of the leadership is the one that brings about next level we are speaking about. This is all about public interest. Thank you very much.